It says entrepreneurship doesn't care if you come from jail or from Yale.
E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. He talks about the 3 levels of entrepreneurship. You got the technicians. All they do is, what do I do and how do I do it?
Yes.
Then you have the manager who manages the technicians, and then you have the entrepreneur, the visionary, who just oversees what the manager does, who manages the technician.
Yeah.
And that's when you're working on the business, not in the business.
Tony Robbins says it all the time, and I overuse this quote, but it's relevant. Your biggest resource is your resourcefulness. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the DNG podcast. And I've got my good buddy here, one of the best entrepreneurs. Every time I talk to this dude, man, this guy's like, he's got an incredible attitude, big old smile on his face and stuff like that. And rightfully so, because he's a winner in life and, he's a family man, loves his family, loves his wife, and is crushing it in business. I asked this guy before I even started the podcast, I said, hey bro, I'm going to start a podcast and I got to have you on it. Finally it happened and stuff. And he brought his cool ass whip. Right, so we're here, man, and now I was like, when my wife watches this episode, she's gonna want this car and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because we're looking for an SUV. So, anyways, with that being said, I got my friend, the man, Mr. Jorge Contreras. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. And it's been a long time coming, huh?
It's been a long time, man. We've known each other like 6 years now?
Yeah, that's right. When you were teaching me bachata.
You came to my bachata class. That's how we met. And then you introduced me to Bitcoin.
That's right. That's right.
Rightfully so. So appreciate that.
No problem, man. I know you because you for a while went from the beginning. You went pretty strong in crypto.
Yeah, from the very beginning. I got the first Bitcoin at $600 thanks to you.
Yeah, nice. That's right.
And
that's right.
Continuing to build.
Stack them up.
Yep.
Stack them up. That's exciting, bro. That's awesome, man. Well, we're definitely going to dive into cryptocurrency now that you brought it up, man. Because that's one of my favorite topics, man.
I was saying before the show, I was about to wear my Ethereum shirt, so it would have been perfect.
That's right. That's right. I started working with some guys years ago with this company. As a matter of fact, I found this shirt, and then I'm like, and we started trading cryptocurrencies. That's probably around the time that we met. And yeah, man, I got involved in cryptocurrency back in 2013. There was a company mining crypto out of Costa Mesa, California. And they were actually mining crypto there. And so, but then they moved the operation somewhere else. But I got the good fortune to be involved, get involved in crypto right around $200-300. But I saw it at 100.
Right.
And I procrastinated. And then after that, I got involved at around $300-400. But yeah, man, so I always like to start off with this because I want to get to know the man, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about your growing up, bro, because you're very disciplined. It seems like you have the Midas touch, you know what I mean? Where you touch turns to gold and stuff, right? And so, but also that attitude, right? That you've got, the attitude of a winner. And winners can detect other winners by their attitudes. Even right away, meeting them, you can detect that, right? And you can see. So tell me a little bit about your growing up, bro.
Definitely. So I think a lot of the discipline and everything you just mentioned is all through the challenges and obstacles. And I've heard your inspiring story, growing up and coming here and, one mother raising, I think you said 6 or 7 brothers, but then 6 or 7 brothers not being able to take care of one mother. So very inspiring. So I have like my own similar story. So one of my earliest memories was being 5 years old and being at my half brother's funeral who was murdered through gangs. And even though I wasn't really close to him, because my dad had children with 3 different women, so we didn't really see each other. I always said a lot of people, small family. And so I just got to experience, just everyone's anger and sadness. And that was just like a pivotal moment that I just always remember, just being there and looking at him in the coffin. Then fast forward a couple years, my dad was always a drug dealer his entire life.
Wow.
And an alcoholic. And from age 7 to about 11, whenever clients would come to the house to buy drugs, but when my dad wasn't home, me and my siblings would sell the drugs.
Wow.
And like in Mexico, it's very common that people have like a little liquor store inside of their house, right? They sell chips, aguas, or
true.
Food as just to make ends meet. And it kind of felt like we were doing the same thing here. We had our own little liquor store, but it was like a drug liquor store. And to me, it was like the fish doesn't know that it's in the water. So I thought it was normal. I thought everyone sold drugs out of their house. Because
you were 5?
I was like 5, 6, 7 when I started selling the drugs. Clients would come over and they used to call my dad El Pollo. Hey, is El Pollo here? ¿Está el pollo? Oh, no está. Oh, hey, quiero esto. And we already knew where the drugs were. And again, it was very, very just normal. And also, when I was 7 years old, I'm the youngest one out of all my siblings, and the doctor told my dad, he said, Jose Luis, if you want to see your youngest son, Jorgito, grow up, you have to stop drinking alcohol because you're going to die. And so he stopped drinking, but the damage was too far and too much. So when I turned 12, he passed away from alcohol.
Damn.
And I was 12. My sister after me, Susie, was 14, pregnant. My brother, 16, other sister, 18. Everyone had kids. Nobody graduated high school.
Wow.
My brother started selling drugs, because he was following my dad's footsteps. And then my mom abandoned me. So I'm sitting there just, 12, no dad,
Damn.
Essentially no mom, no guidance, nobody to look after me, nobody to support me. And my mom's friend, Estela, she used to smuggle people across the border, and so did we. That's what we did. We smuggled people across the border, and we sold drugs. Those were the two income streams.
Shit.
So, dude, I would literally go with my brother, and we would go to Tijuana, just me and him, in a big-ass Astro van, and we would cross people.
Wow.
And every time we went, I was like 10, 11, 12, and I would make $100 each trip. And they used to think, hey, if you have a kid in the car, like, oh, they're just going to let you go. They're not going to think you're doing anything shady, jeopardizing a kid.
A kid, yeah.
So Estela, when my dad passed away, this is crazy because my dad made a lot of money selling drugs and smuggling people, but he didn't know how to keep it, make it, protect it, invest it.
Yeah.
So when he died, we didn't even have money to go to his funeral in Mexico. So Estela purchased the flights for us to go to his funeral.
Damn.
And then when we came back, she's like, well, she said, you could stay with me. She said, as long as you keep going to school, she said, I'll feed you, I'll clothe you, and I'll put a roof over your head.
Really?
12 to 16, that's what happens. And then at 16, she said, hey, I've taken care of you. Now you got to look after yourself. So I get my first job at Not Soak City Water Park as a photographer.
Wow.
Making $7 an hour and a penny of commission for every picture.
A penny?
A penny of commission
for
every picture. So I've been in sales my whole life. And so I think that's really where a lot of the growth happened, because I'm 16. I start renting a bedroom, $300. I got paying my old cell phone bill. I'm going to high school. Just basically, if I wanted to take a girl on a date, there was nobody that was going to pay for the movies or for lunch, for Jack in the Box, like everything. I was 100% independent. Like I was forced to become a man at 16. Wow. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was survive or basically die. And so I think that survival instinct kicked in, and I was like, dude, I don't have an option. Like, I have to make this work. I got to just look after myself. No one's going to do it for me. No one's going to feed me or pay my rent or put a roof over my head. And I think that's really where, kind of led me to where I'm at today, is I had to develop a mindset of survival.
Makes a lot of sense. It's funny that there's a quote that says, sometimes we don't know how strong we are until being strong is the only option we have.
Exactly.
It's very true. And you had no choice. And that's one of the things that I talk about very often. Kids that have everything given to them. And I don't know if you recall of any kids when you were growing up that maybe had maybe a little too much given to them, maybe a little bit too easy. And look at them as adults, man. There's a big correlation between that shit and between how they end up as adults. I remember seeing kids, I won't mention their names, but some people that know me from back in the days, they'll know who I'm talking about, or the people I'm talking about, that good kids did well in sports, but their parents spoiled them a little bit too much. Gave them a cell, and back in the days, but fuck, right now kids have cell phones, but back in the days, if you had a cell phone, it's like, dude, that was a big spoil, right? But also just said yes a little bit too often, right? Didn't correct them, didn't discipline them enough, right? And then you see them when they get older, you see it in their health, you see it in their happiness, you see it in their lifestyle and fulfillment, and shit's not there. But somebody like you, I mean, shit, I didn't know this about you. That's why it's super cool to do this podcast with you. You had no choice but to, as you said, become a man early on, man. The only thing that I'm disappointed about that story is a penny commission for a fucking picture. Shit, when the hell was that ever any money, man? How many pictures would you sell a day?
I mean, we would take like hundreds and hundreds of pictures a day, because all we would do was take pictures.
Right.
And obviously they would sell them and then make, money from that.
Yeah, so, but how many would they sell in a day for you to...
They would sell a lot, bro. They made a lot of money. And, they hype up the price. Like, we actually went...
Yeah.
I went for the first time to Not Soak City about a month ago.
Right.
And I was just like, holy shit, full circle.
Wow.
Just going in there as a customer now.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this was my job. Like, when I was half the age,
That's
it was
crazy.
just crazy. to be there now. But yeah, man, they charge, you know, $17, $40, $60, $80 or hundreds for packages.
Yeah.
They're paying us pennies, you know.
That's
but
crazy.
I think that's it just developed. That's where my mindset got developed, right? Jim Rohn always says, do more than what you get paid for and you'll become more, right?
That's right. I love it, man. I love it. I know you're a big student of personal growth. One question I have about your story is, you say you guys sold drugs. I'm curious, what kind of drugs were you guys selling? If you can even say.
Absolutely. Yeah, we sold marijuana and cocaine.
Holy shit. You were like between 5 and 7 years old and you were selling that.
Yeah, dude, there was times where my dad would be like, Mijo, let's go to McDonald's. And I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. I'm going to get a Happy Meal. And then we would go to an industrial building just like this. And then he would be like, oh, like, go give it to that guy. And I'd have like a 20, a dime, or a 40. And we'd do like a little swap with the money.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then we'd come in and go get the Happy Meal and go home. And it was normal. It was like going to the park.
Damn, bro. That's such a trip. That's something that's like some stuff out of a movie, bro.
It is. It's going to be a movie. I'm going to make a documentary.
My man. I got the guy too. I had the CEO of the LA Tribune here. Shout out to Mo Rock, by the way. Great interview, man. He was talking about the law of attraction. That dude is a man. So he does documentaries for Amazon and Netflix and whatnot, and he's connected. So if you ever need a good connection for that, I'll connect you with Mo. So let's fast forward, right? So I get it from the beginning. How did you, what type of kid were you in high school? So in high school, 10, 11, 12th grade, who were you then?
So, you know, I did 7th grade twice, graduated high school with 4 Fs and 1 D, and then dropped out of college. But in high school, you know, I always think, and that's why, you know, and I know we'll go into this later, but that's why I have such a big mission and vision to teach people how to go from employees to entrepreneurs,
right.
and make it an option since the time we're kids. Because I realized growing up, and you and I have the same, personality, and so we think the same. And growing up, and I'm sure you could relate, I always felt like I didn't fit in. Like this whole thing of like raise your hand, follow the rules, stay quiet, you know, do your homework, like basically be an obedient slave, and training us to become employees. And it just never really sat well. And so I never did well. I was very disruptive. I was a class clown. I was, you know, trying to get people's attention because I wasn't getting it at home. So that's how class clowns try to, you know, look for attention. And so, yeah, man, I mean, in both my attitude and my grades, I never did good in school. I would ditch school. And especially after my dad passed away, I would like ditch school, smoke weed, skateboard all day. And, you know, I was like a rebel because like I was just, you know, didn't know how to deal with what I was experiencing. Right.
Interesting. I say, you know, so you said that you had, what were your grades?
I graduated my senior year with 4 Fs and 1 D because I only needed 5 credits to graduate. And that 1 D got me my diploma.
Shit. It's funny. I mention all the time, I was in special ed classes to the 10th grade, which is true. Special ed classes to the 10th grade, man. And I graduated, but I was in summer school or vacation school because it wasn't summer. We had tracks. So we were on 4 months, off 2 months. Well, we went to the same high school, right? But I never had a vacation. I always had to be in school to get the extra credits because if not, I wouldn't have passed. And so, but that's one thing that's very true, man. The A students end up working for the C students, the C and D students, because it's the C and D students that go out there and become entrepreneurs, go out there and take the risk. And then the A students, they're more taught on how to be a better employee, how to obey. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. And we look at the world that we live in today, controversial, but I don't care. We look at the world that we live in today, man. Everybody's being told what to do. Mandate after mandate after mandate. This is becoming the USSA. You know what I'm saying? It's like if people don't see the brainwashing, I tell people, hey, how do you cook a frog? Little by little. Put a frog in a pan, normal water, then you raise the heat little. Then eventually the frog is cooked. And that's what's happening. That's what happens always with school, with kids going through school. Then if they go to a college or university, they keep getting cooked on a couple things. To be an employee, number one. To be obedient, number two. And also, now, socialist philosophies, man. Communist philosophies, man. And they don't even know it. So when they come out, you know, it's funny. Did you see that picture of AOC with her dress?
Yeah.
It says tax the rich. The funny thing is that she was at a fucking gala that's $35,000 a ticket with a bunch of rich elites that didn't get there by the shit she's promoting, right? They got there by entrepreneurship and capitalism, right? So to me, that is the irony of this bullshit. But see, that's the kind of stuff that's being pushed in schools, man. And, you know, maybe we could touch on that a little bit, but Tell me about how you got into the entrepreneurship and the bachata days.
So I went into community college, and again, I always failed all my classes. Like I just failed everything. I didn't even pass pre-algebra, which was like a 6th or 7th grade by the time I was senior year. But I graduated, went to community college, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because I didn't even know that entrepreneurship was an option. Luckily, I joined the salsa team at Orange Coast College, and my salsa partner introduced me to bachata. She said, hey, go check out the CD, Aventura. They just had a concert. They did a live recording. That day, I went to go buy it, and I just fell in love with the music. So I started practicing at home, watching the few YouTube videos there was in 2006, 7. And then I started missing a couple classes because 3 months after I learned about the dance, I started teaching bachata to some friends. So I had the BlackBerry phone at the time, and I sent a group text to my friends, and I said, hey, I'm going to start teaching bachata at Yaneli's house. Yaneli was one of my homegirls at the time. And there was like a big brick wall, had my little CD player with the Aventura song, and that's where I started teaching bachata for free. Like 2 people showed up, my friend and his girlfriend at the time, and then 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Then I started charging $5, $7. Then I'm like, man, I'm getting legit. I need to find a dance studio.
Right.
So I found a dance studio in Buena Park, California, called Easy Dance Studio. I think it's still there. And I started teaching there once a week. Then I started doing monthly boot camps, started building a name and a brand. And then I started reaching out to festival organizers. And I said, hey, I'm interested in coming out to your events. I went to Arizona, Hawaii, San Francisco, Chicago, Chicago, a couple other events. And then my teachers in the community college say, Jorge, if you miss one more time, we're going to have to withdraw you. As you know, we got a 3, if you miss 3 times, we got to give you a W, withdraw you. And so I had to make a decision. At the time, I was working at Bank of America as a personal banker.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, do I keep my job and stay in community college, or do I quit and go all in on this vision of building my own business through dance? So of course, I jumped off the mountain, built an airplane on the way down, quit my job. I quit community college, and I basically started my business as a bachata dance instructor, which is how I met you.
Yeah.
And started the first bachata dance company with my partner, started the first bachata festivals in Los Angeles, started the first bachata nightclub in the US.
Wow.
And got to travel to over 25 countries, teaching, performing, teaching other instructors, putting on competitions, concerts, just build like this huge business with like 8 streams of income.
Wow. I know, man. When I met you, you were like at the peak, man. You had all these festivals and stuff going on and classes in different places. And I'm like, dude, this dude is crushing it. But see, to me, it was a surprise though. When you did like a 360, you went in a different direction into the real estate investing and the Airbnb, and you, if I'm not mistaken, you cold turkey kind of left the bachata business, is that right?
That's right.
How did that happen? Why did that happen?
So I realized that I had a really high income. I was already doing like multiple 6 figures with my dance business in my mid-20s, but I didn't have any time. I had high income, but no assets. And so if I stopped working, I wouldn't have been able to take care of myself or my family. True. And I was traveling so much. I would come back from the weekends from being in Europe teaching, and I'd go straight into teaching. And my relationship was starting to get serious with my wife, girlfriend at the time. We wanted to have kids in the future. And I'm like, man, there's no way I could have a normal life just working 14, 16-hour days. Again, the income was there, but the assets and the time weren't. I was like, there's got to be a way to build a business that doesn't require me to trade time for money. So even though it was my business, I was that self-employed person who I thought I was an entrepreneur. Really, I was just an employee of my own business. If I stopped working, money stopped coming in. And so I had no time freedom.
You thought you owned the business, but the business
owned me. Yep. Exactly, because there was no time. If I stopped working, the money stopped coming in.
Right.
And so I built a business that always needed me to be there physically, clocking in just like a 9 to 5. There was no difference.
Tough.
And so in 2012, I purchased my first piece of property in Boyle Heights. It was in the hood. 6% of all murders happen in LA.
Damn.
But I was like, hey, it's not the dream home. It's just the first home.
That's right.
So I got the first one. Added a couple units over the years. When I first got that house, I lived in a master. I rented 3 bedrooms, and that's how I lived mortgage payment free. Saved the mortgage of $1,800 a month for 2 months, and then I did a new construction in the back in 2014.
Nice.
Then in 2016, a friend of mine introduced me to Airbnb, one of my dance students, and she said she was making 3 times a month with Airbnb than what she was making with long-term tenants. So in March of 2017, I launched my first 4 units, all with existing properties. And so I didn't realize that I was essentially out of the rat race because I was already making about $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year of just passive income, cash flow with my 4 Airbnbs.
Wow.
And so I knew, I would see these guys in the dance community that were in their 50s and 60s, and they were stuck because they never did anything else. And all the younger people were teaching for lesser price. They were starting to fade out. Some of them were still living with their parents. It was just a really bad situation. I'm like, that's not going to be me. I need to shift. So around November 1st of 2017, I was like, all right, I'm going to give myself a year to be here doing this dance business, and then I'm going to quit and go on to something else. And then I was like, you know what? If anybody else asked me what to do, I would have told them that just jump off the mountain and build an airplane on the way down and just do it now.
That's right.
So literally I spoke to the owner of the nightclub and I said, hey, in 2 weeks, like I'm done. And he was very proud of me because he realized that I had actually outgrown the place and that I was ready to go on and just spread my wings and do something else.
Yeah.
So for about 6 to 8 months, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I left the nightclub and I left my dance company. And for about 8 months, I just, before dance, I was always an athlete. So I played basketball 4 years in high school, 4 years of volleyball and basketball. But I would get injured and then I couldn't teach dance. One time I went to Europe and I had to hurt my ankle and I couldn't teach. And I was like, man, I can't let this happen again. I can't play anymore. So when that happened, I went to go back to playing sports. I just started joining all these meetups. And then it kind of just hit me. I was like, holy shit, like I'm financially free on my monthly expenses. My mortgage, everything is being paid by the money I make in my sleep for my Airbnbs.
That's right.
So I decided to just double down. Some people say, hey, Jorge, should I work my weaknesses? I'm like, hey, you should double down on your strengths.
Nice.
And that's what I did. I doubled down on Airbnb, started going into the subleasing strategy, growing and scaling faster, added another 6 figures in 2018. That's when my wife quit her job. Mm-hmm. And people kept asking me like, yo, how do you do it? How do you do it? So eventually I saw an opportunity to continue to be the teacher and coach that I always was, but through the vehicle of dance. And so, man, then I started the real system and I started teaching other people how to become financially free through Airbnb and real estate investing, and the rest is history.
Man, that's powerful. And see, that there's so many lessons I'm listening to, and I'm like, I'm going to remember this shit. Then I'm going to remember this. Then I'm going to remember this. I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm going to I don't know where to start, but here's where I will. One of the things that I find impressive is this. I shared this quote on Instagram like a year ago, maybe less. And I got a lot of likes, comments, and shares. It says, entrepreneurship doesn't care if you come from jail or from Yale, which is very true. You weren't the smartest kid in high school. You weren't the smartest kid like me. In college, you did a little bit of college,
A little bit of community.
Me, I did one semester. UCLA, right? No,
Really?
No. Cerritos College. What do they say? Why do they call it UCLA? Something left on Alondra. University of California left on Alondra. That's why they call it UCLA. So I did one semester there, right? And then, but see, you went out there and grit. Tony Robbins says it all the time, and I overuse this quote, but it's relevant. Your biggest resource is your resourcefulness. You went out there and you said, hey man, I'm gonna start dancing. You text some people, 2 people showed up. Doesn't matter. And you did it for free. You gave the value for free. Then you started getting a little bit more popular. Hey man, charging $5 a head or whatever you were charging, right? Then from there you scaled, but did it cost you any money to do that?
No.
No, it cost you a little bit of your time, a little bit of your effort and your skills. But more than anything, that grit that it takes to go out there and, hey, let's get it started, right? And then, you did that and you built it into a successful business. And then you realize you outgrew it because you're trading time for money. And here's the thing, I tell people all the time, because I've taught leverage income all my adult life, 20 years, passive income. Even in my solar business, we teach people how to build a team and get paid 6 levels deep on the team so you have passive income, right? As I'm here, sales are being made in my 1,000-person sales organization and I don't have to be there, right? And so that is a big thing, because a lot of times you got people that, I tell people all the time, I had a doctor that was telling me, years ago, I was in my 20s, he says, I make great money already, JC. I make over $250,000. I'm happy. And I said to him, yeah, but when you get home, your dog barks at you because your own dog doesn't know who you are. And you got some ladies that help you at home, but they're raising your kid, not you. So, you might have money, but you're not there for your family. And it hit him like a ton of bricks. It's almost like he hadn't thought about that before. And that's one of the things that before I had kids, first of all, I knew I was going to have a son. For some reason, I knew I was going to have a son, and I knew I was going to call him Maximus. And I knew that he was going to be just an incredible boy. And I said to people, and I said to myself, when I am a parent, I'm not going to be the type of parent that's not there for them. And so my wife is a stay-at-home mom. I work out of home. So I love the fact that I'm raising my kids because of what you mentioned, which is leveraged income. What if something happens to you? What if you get the coronavirus and you're out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, right? Some people it hits them hard, right? That's why on another subject, it's important to take care of your immune system, right? Which, hey, why don't they mandate that shit, right?
They should be giving out free gym memberships.
Exactly.
And fucking quarantine whoever is like 40, 60, 100 pounds overweight.
Exactly. And you know what? Prohibit those motherfuckers from going to McDonald's and shit, right?
They should shut down McDonald's.
Exactly. Some people go out there and they get the jab. Hey, man, we got the jab already. Let's go get some McDonald's. I mean, the stupidity, the level of stupidity that we are in is just... It gets me angry, but you know, whatever, man. That's another subject that is a very interesting subject to have at another time. But you build that leverage income, and now, so you went into real estate investing, and I want to get into the Airbnb. So one of the things that I see you promote, and I want to talk about the real system as well. One of the things that you promote is Airbnb, but another step to Airbnb, because I used to think, okay, buy some properties, Airbnb, but there's another option. You don't have to own property. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so probably the most popular strategy is subleasing, which is also known as Airbnb arbitrage. So it's the arbitrage business. And so essentially you could rent a property from a property owner, get permission in writing to use their property as a short-term rental, and then launch it as a, on Airbnb and basically make the spread. So if you rent it for $3K and you generate $6K, then the difference is your profit.
Wow.
And then there's really only three operations in the business, right? Somebody to clean it, somebody to do maintenance from time to time, and someone to be on top of the communications. You delegate those three things. Now you're working on the business, not in the business.
Nice. Now, let me ask you this. If I put 10 applications, right, to do this sublease, how receptive are let's assume I have the credit and the deposit. How receptive are the homeowners usually? What percentage of homeowners are open to something like that?
About 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. More. Man, that seems like a pretty damn good deal.
It is.
That's interesting. So right now, how many properties do you have that you're doing Airbnb with?
Right now, we have about 17.
Nice. And you have somebody that does all these things.
Manages everything. Yeah, we have a manager, right? Like in the book, E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber, he talks about the 3 levels of entrepreneurship. You got the technicians. All they do is, what do I do and how do I do it?
Yes.
Then you have the manager who manages the technicians. And then you have the entrepreneur, the visionary, who just oversees what the manager does, who manages the technician. Yeah. And that's when you're working on the business, not in the business. Yes. So we have a manager who manages all the technicians. And we have about 25 employees, subcontractors on the Airbnb side.
That's one of the common things that I hear. And this is a little golden nugget. You're like the 3rd or 4th entrepreneur that mentions the E-Myth. I heard of the E-Myth when I was a real estate agent back in like 2006. And I'm embarrassed to say I haven't read it, okay? Which I will. My network marketing experience did teach me about delegating, promoting leaders, right? Duplicating yourself, which is all these things. So for example, I own a credit repair company. I show up, well, by show up, it means I get on my phone and I send commissions and pay from my app, right? And then I have like 2 meetings a month with them. But I've got the managers, I've got the affiliate people, I've got the processors, we've got some employees outside. And so that is a beautiful thing when you're able to learn that stuff. And a lot of these things you're not going to learn right away. You got to learn by trial and error, right? You could read a book all day long and it's going to help. And like the E-Myth, it'll help you. But once you get into the intricate details of the business, then you're going to learn certain things that you've got to adjust and stuff, right? But it's such a big thing to promote not only entrepreneurship, but how to be an entrepreneur, like what you're talking about, which is to have that time freedom, right? Like, couple of days ago, we went to Javier's. I always take my mom. It's my wife, Alexander, because Maximus was in school, and then my mom. And in the middle of the day during the week, we're at Javier's having margaritas, having a good time, taking our time, and why is that? The only thing that could deliver that is entrepreneurship with the proper systems in place. Systems is an acronym, save yourself some time, energy, and money, right? And so you've done that, but with the Airbnb business. So you also have another side of the business where you teach people how to do this stuff. So give me, without obviously revealing everything, But what are some of the things and benefits and things that your students learn from you?
Well, again, entrepreneurship is not taught in school,
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest problems why so many people are stuck. Because if you look at where wages were 50 years ago versus the cost of real estate, it used to be like this 1-to-4 ratio. I was watching this video, and now it's like 1-to-26.
Shit.
So it's like real estate is like this, and the increase in goods and services, and people's wages is like this. So the gap is just widening and widening. And 10 years from now, and we already know this, you're either going to be poor or you're going to be rich, and that there's no in between, no middle class. And because of all the same shit that's going on, where so many people are sick, not even because the Rona, but just in general, autoimmune diseases, all kinds of shit, because people are eating trash at McDonald's, not taking care of their mind, their body. I have a lot of people who are actually really ill, who are starting to come to me. So I feel like I'm being called to an even bigger game now. They're saying, dude, my doctor says I can't work anymore. I need to find a way to make money while I sleep. And I'm just like, I even got the chills just thinking about it.
It's true, man.
But it's just crazy. And so I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20 full time, but it really feels like since I was 16, that's when the mindset and personal development started really happening without even knowing what personal development was. I started looking for role models and people that I look up to. But yeah, long story short, I teach them how to build a business, and I say, hey, the first goal should be to replace your 9-to-5 income with passive income from Airbnb. So financial freedom is really the first thing, right? And that happens when your passive income meets or exceeds your monthly living expenses.
Correct.
Then after that, we can start focusing on wealth creation, owning property, creating a legacy, something that one day you could pass on to your loved ones.
Yes.
And so everything from how to start, grow, build a team, a system, automation, working on the business, not in the business. And so they get to leverage my 14 years of building multiple, 7-figure businesses. And, for a fraction of what people pay to go and get a certificate that says you can go and be a part of the 40-40-40 scam, right? Which is where you work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to then retire on 40% of the income, which was never enough to live off of in the first place.
That's right. That's powerful, man. That's powerful because it's true, man. I mean, in our credit repair company, we also have a student loan forgiveness business. I see people come all the time with $80,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in debt with a certificate that, I hate to say it, it might insult some people, but I don't care. They could wipe their ass with, because guess what? They're not using that certificate. The job that they got did not even ask for it. They don't even know that they went to, and they're $300,000 in debt. See, these are the same people that buy into the bullshit that's happening. These are the same people that go out there and say capitalism is a problem. The funny thing is that people that are promoting all this, and I know that I'm getting into a different subject, right? But you got people like Bernie Sanders. That dude is a multi-millionaire. He didn't get there by the shit that they're promoting, right? And so he got there by the stuff you're talking about. Entrepreneurship, leverage income, getting paid on, while you are, not working, right? And so when you're looking at what we're talking about here, you show them the steps and you are on the field doing the stuff that you're teaching people how to do. Now, granted, you do it and you monitor and automate it, make it automated, but you've done it and you've got the results. And a lot of people are learning. For example, I went to school and I had a business class. And I say this all the time. The business professor, I asked him one day, hey man, what kind of business have you owned? I never owned a business, he says. And I said, what the fuck? What do you mean you never owned a business? No, I never owned a business. I'm like, why the hell are any of us? I'm thinking, I didn't say this. Now I would have said it, right? But I was 18 years old then, 20 years ago. And I said to myself, why in the world am I listening to this dude talk about business when he's never owned a business? That shit doesn't make any sense, man. But here, for example, with your class, you have 17 Airbnbs. You know what I'm saying? You've built the multiple 7-figure businesses multiple times, and for a fraction of what they're going to spend at a college or a university, that stuff just doesn't add up. But here's the thing: the last episode I did was on cost versus value. What most people with a broke mindset are going to do is they're going to look at simply the cost and ignore the value. But successful people and people with a successful mindset look at the value. And the value far exceeds the cost, right? As long as you're willing to go out there and apply the shit that's being taught to you, right? And that's very, very impressive.
And even the cost of inaction, right? Like when I do my in-person events, towards the end, when it comes to mentioning, hey, if you want to have this mentorship, coaching, create these results, like our students and I, when we get to the closing, I say, hey, grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down how much passive income you'd want to be making 12 months from now. And then I want you to add a 0 at the end. And then I want you to write down how that's going to impact your life, your loved ones, what you're going to do then once you're making all this money. Now I want you to cross it out and throw that piece of paper in the trash, and that's the cost of inaction. People don't think about how much it costs not to take action.
That's right.
The other day I was watching this video, and Ty Lopez was talking about this book. I forgot who, but one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. And he said that skill had nothing to do with success. It was only 2 things. It was speed and your ability to pivot. And I was like, man,
that's powerful.
That just hit. It just resonated. And it's true, because that's how you and I think. We don't focus on perfection. We focus on progress.
Yes.
We focus on do what you can with what you have, where you are. Just get started, right? Fire, ready, aim, and just make it better. If something doesn't work, you just pivot, you pivot, you pivot. That's what the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It's like, who moves my cheese? Where's my cheese? You adjust, you pivot, you adjust, you pivot. But when somebody has the opposite personality of you and I, where they're super analytical, they want to know everything before they can do anything, and then they end up not doing shit.
Paralysis
and then
by analysis.
They judge other people who take action, and they want perfection right off from the gate, and it doesn't even exist. Even at the levels you and I are in, it's not perfect, and it'll never be, because that doesn't exist.
That's right.
All that exists is peeling the layers back. It's like an onion. It never ends. Personal development, entrepreneurship, success, in all areas of your life. You're never going to arrive. It's a journey, not the destination.
Absolutely, man. That's powerful. One of the things that you mentioned earlier was how the middle class is separated. That's what people don't realize. Just look over the last 11, 12 months. Over the last 11 or 12 months, gas in California, I could speak, went from less than $2 to almost $5.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's true. It's true, right? But when you look at it, and here's how I know. I never look at the price of gas. I pump gas and that's it, bro. As soon as that shit clicks, I know it's done. Let's get out of here. But I hear people talk about it and share, and I'm like, really? Then I check, how much was it, last year? Oh, indeed, it was under $2. But the thing is that most people don't realize, look at the cost of goods and inflation. The government has always told us it's 2-3%. It's not 2-3%. It's about 10% a year at least. And right now it's even more. Then they don't realize how the dollar's getting devaluated by all this money printing. Nothing is free. We're paying for it somehow. So right now, more than ever before, entrepreneurship is something that you should definitely look into, right? And there's a lot of ways. Right now, everybody's the equivalent of a genius, because all this information is at your fingertips, right? So for example, what do you say to the person that thinks, hey man, Airbnb, real estate investing, all that stuff, I gotta have money or a lot of money to get that going? What would you say to that person, and what would you say is a truth of what's needed?
Well, earlier you mentioned that Tony Robbins says success is not about having all the resources, it's about being resourceful.
Right.
And you only know what you know. So that's the whole point of having a coach, a mentor, a leader that can leverage their wisdom, the knowledge that they've acquired in all the decades, so then they can go out there and create those results. So if somebody came to me and they said, hey man, I don't have any money, how do I do it? It's like, well, let me show you how to tap in to the bank's money, right? Using OPM, other people's money.
Right.
And so there's a strategy called balance transfer, where you can take a credit card that has a balance transfer promotion, and you can literally transfer money from the credit card into your checking account at 0% interest for up to 21 months. You pay a one-time 3% fee. So on 10 grand,
wow,
they're going to charge you a one-time $300 fee, which they deduct from the 10K. So they're going to deposit $9,700. You could use that money to then go and pay the first month and deposit, secure a lease agreement. And say you start making $2,000 a month of passive income, boom, 5 months, the credit card's paid off, and you never have to use any of your money.
Wow.
And the crazy part is that's important to use even at the highest levels. Like right now, again, going back to inflation, I'm in escrow in 5 properties right now, over $2.5 million worth of purchases, all residential, all to do Airbnb. And the reason we're parking our money in real estate is because savers are losers,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Why would you work so hard for something, trading time for money, sacrificing time away from the people you love for something that in 10 years, you're going to need double, triple what you have right now to buy the same thing.
Yes.
So you have to park your money in assets. And so that's why we're doing that. But, going back to the question, again, it's about being resourceful. And so that's one way that you could basically launch a business, and you could use that for anything,
yes,
right?
Sure.
To then use the bank's money And that's always my goal. Is like, how do I utilize the least amount of my money because I get a better return on investment.
I love it. When you mention OPM, this is something that, is taught in network marketing a lot. And we teach people OPM, OPE, other people's efforts, leverage income. My whole model with my business model is I build leaders, and those leaders build leaders. I get paid multiple levels deep. So I'm getting paid on the efforts of other people. But guess what? I give them the same, they have the identical opportunity that I do, right? You talk about OPM. That's what the richest people in the world do. They don't use their money. They use a bank's money, right? They get a higher return on investment somewhere else, which is what you just said, for a small return. Guess what? You got to have good credit. So, let's say, for example, me 10 years ago, right? Maybe 15 years ago, the guy that had terrible credit. If I'm listening, let's say, for example, we're talking about a 21-year-old, 25-year-old says, hey, man, I made some bad decisions. Yeah, I don't have the best credit, but you know what? Instead of going out on the weekend trying to impress friends that don't give a shit about me, wasting money to trying to keep up with the Joneses, how about you stop doing that, start saving your money, get the credit to where it needs to be. If that's the first step that you got, now if you already got the credit, great, you're one step ahead. But if you don't have the credit, get it there so you could do what you just said, do that transfer, and start doing something smart with your money. And there's a lot of options. Airbnb is one of those options. But the thing is that it's the philosophy of, hey, I'll skip on the lollipop today for the bicycle later, right? And I teach my son on delaying gratification. And that's one of the things that successful entrepreneurs know how to do. We know how to delay gratification. Hey, I don't care. Like, for example, I was talking to my buddy the other day and I was wearing some jeans, kind of like these, right? Matter of fact, these jeans. I've had these jeans for about 7 years, right? I've had this shirt for at least 4 years. I still wear the same
way. Look
shit.
how faded it is,
exactly, bro. But see, the 10 years ago me would have been like, nah, man, I gotta have a fresh shirt and stuff, and I'm gonna spend $70 on a new shirt, and I gotta get some new jeans, $150 or whatever they are, right? And so I don't think nor care about those things anymore. You know what I care about? My asset portfolio. My assets, my cryptocurrencies, my stocks, my Walmart stores, and I want to see those stacks growing. I want to see my business, my cash flows growing. That's the shit that I care about, right? You look at some of the billionaires in the world. If you didn't know who they were, you see them in the street, you'll never know that they're billionaires because they're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the kind of stuff that I notice. And bro, I'm going to go and read the E-Myth because you're the third or fourth person on my podcast that mentions that. I'm like, shit, man. Again, I'm embarrassed to say that I don't have it yet. You know what I mean?
It's a great book, man. It's a great book. Yep. The other one that I'm rereading right now with my operations manager is Traction. I feel like that book, like somebody has to be at 7 figures for that book to make sense because it is really fucking deep, like crazy book. Yeah. Crazy book. Yeah. But yeah, man, delaying gratification. Like I had a Toyota Corolla that I had for 5 years that I bought cash. I don't know why. It's kind of the dumbest thing to do if you want to create financial freedom. Because instead I should have took that money, launched more Airbnbs, and the Airbnbs would have paid for the car payment. I
bought a Corvette cash, and it's one of the things. And I paid fucking $8,000 over for that car. You know why? Because of the gram and shit. I went and I'm at the dealer, and I have $68,000 in cash, and I say, bragging, they don't have a cash machine, money counting machine here. You believe that shit? Just because to get a couple likes, I cringe, bro, at the decisions that I would make then. You know what I'm saying? It's wild, bro. So I get it, bro.
Yeah, so, I always wanted a Tesla. This has always been like my dream car.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it until it would become like a drop in the ocean, until I could buy it 20, 30, 40, 50 times over again. And it was like not something to worry about. And but yeah, delaying gratification is super important. Instead, we should take those resources, those finances, and continue to build assets that pay for the liabilities.
Yeah, no, it's true. And by the way, I love your Tesla. You know I'm in a contest right now to win one, right?
Tell me about it.
So yeah, so Monday they announced it. It was a 3-month contest, and
Empower,
yeah. So it's a Model Y, a little bit smaller than this one. Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
It's a great vehicle.
I don't know if I'm gonna win it, but I'll just say this much: the saying is, "May the best man win." The saying is not, "May the best men win." If it was, "May the best man win," I would have won that car. I'll just say that much, right? So I don't know if I'm gonna win it yet. There's some shady stuff that happened. Anyways, whatever, man. It is what it is, but I don't know why. But when you show up in that shit, and then right now, I was like, I'm gonna bring that up. But what advice would you give to somebody, bro? Let's say the 21-year-old you. Somebody says, you know what? Because a lot of 21-year-olds, they don't watch stuff like this. Very few do. They don't read those books, but a few do. So for those people that say, hey, man, by the time I'm 30, 35, 40, I want to be set up, right? because who says that you have to be 65, 67 to be retired, right? So what advice would you give to the 21-year-old dude? And it doesn't have to be 21. It could be 18. It could be anywhere in between. But
it could be 30.
It could be 30. It could be any age. But what do you say to that guy that wants to build wealth and separate himself?
I would say find someone who has the results and outcome that you desire and learn from them. It's really that simple. I think a lot of people get advice from the wrong people. They go to their auntie, their uncle, their mom. They ask them about, hey, should I join, the solar company? Should I start an Airbnb business? But they don't have a 7-figure Airbnb or solar company business. So they're asking the wrong people. If you want to get advice from a plumber, go to the plumber. If you want advice from an electrician, go to the electrician. So again, find someone that has the results and outcome that you desire. Learn from them.
And also, pay for that education if you have to.
See the value in investing in yourself, because the best investment is not real estate, it's you. It's making an investment into your learning, your knowledge, the information, and over your lifetime, that's what's going to make you millions.
Powerful. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Great question. I'm 34, I'll be 44. Honestly, in the same place as far as just doing more of what I'm doing right now. Like, honestly, I feel like I've always been a believer in live life by design and not by default.
Right.
And where we are with our business, our impact, our family, our travel, our freedom, it's exactly the way I want it. So just keep doing more of that.
I love it, man. And then also, let's say you had $1 million right now, falls in your pocket. A rich uncle comes to you and says, hey, man, here's $1 million, and he puts it on this ground, right? But you've got 1 to 3 months to invest it. It's got to be invested. What would you with that million?
I think you posted this last time, right? But if you get $1 million, best you become a millionaire really fast.
That's right. That's right. In the mind. That's right.
Exactly. But I guess it depends where the person is, right? But I would say I would take the first $250,000 and I would either build or scale my business. Mm-hmm. I believe that a lot of times people say, hey, Jorge, I got this money. What should I do with it? Can I buy real estate? And I'm like, hey, start a business that's going to become a cash cow and give you ongoing cash flow and profit on an ongoing basis. Then take that money and go and park it into crypto, real estate, things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do with the first $250,000 is invest it into something that's going to be a hyper, income generating business. And then I would take the other $250,000 and I would put it into cryptocurrency. And then the other $500,000 I'd park it in real estate.
I love it. What kind of cryptos, off the top of your head, do you like right now?
My top 3 are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano.
I love it.
That's where I'm investing.
Pretty safe bets right there, man.
Pretty safe bets. Top 3 by market cap. And man, we're just getting started.
That's true.
Dude,
man.
I still remember because I started buying Ethereum when it was $2, $5. And I know you did too, because you're the one that introduced me to this world. And I remember one of your Instagram posts, you said that people were giving you shit because you were buying Ethereum at $50. Right. I remember that like it was this morning.
Right. That's right.
And you were like, yo, I see this going, way bigger than this. And so $50 is nothing. And it's crazy because right now it's at $3,500.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like every couple of years, the conversation is just repeating themselves. They say, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, just look at what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Bucky Fuller said that, Robert Kiyosaki's mentor. Mm-hmm. And so even though, Bitcoin's at like 48, 50K, Cardano's at like 240 right now, Ethereum almost 3,500, I feel like in 5 years, we're going to be laughing at these prices and wishing that we would have just parked more money.
Yes. You know what I like a lot right now too is XRP, man. XRP has some potential. I know that it goes against a lot of the fundamentals of how cryptocurrency started, but as far as potential to increase, that's one of the ones that I have some good money parked as well. Recently, I did very good with Gala. I bought it at like a quarter of a penny. It's at like, yesterday it was at 13 pennies.
Wow.
And it's a gaming.
26x.
Yeah, bro. So it's more than that because a quarter of a penny. If it was half a penny, 26.
Yeah.
So 50.
Yeah, like 50.
52
something.
Or something.
Yeah,
right?
52.
And so, and I got some friends that made they turned like $4,000 into 28,000 with that. And I keep telling people, man, hey, here's the thing. I don't know. The market could crash tomorrow. But of course, don't put your life savings into some shit, right? Put 10% of your income into different assets, right? It doesn't have to be that. I love physical silver. I mean, it's a lot slower, but I think silver is positioned to do very well over the next decade and beyond. But, it's about diversification, man. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So one last question. Can you recall a time, and this is a question that I ask, can you recall a time of maybe a very tough time in your life, maybe where you were doing well, and then it was a tough, whether it be financial or something else, that you had to bounce back from, a big setback in your life?
Probably my back surgery.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so during the time when I was, a professional dance instructor, dance entrepreneur, I wasn't listening to my body. And so over the course of 3 years, it got to the point where I couldn't dance, I couldn't work out, I couldn't run, I couldn't walk, couldn't jog. And I was pretty much laying on the floor and permanently hunched over.
Oh, shit.
And I had a herniated disc in my L5S1 that was bulging 8 millimeters. Usually once it's 3 or 4, you need surgery. Mine was 8.
Damn.
And so I didn't have health insurance. So my girlfriend at the time was like, let's go to Tijuana. And then $5,000 later, I could stand up straight. But the doctor told me it was a 50-50 chance I'd never walk again.
No way.
And so
Damn.
that, more than anything, was like a spiritual transformation.
Right.
It's funny because a few months prior to my back surgery, I had a student that flew from France to come take privates with me. And she didn't speak that good English, but she was like Snake. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, yeah, you're shedding your old skin to transform into a new you. And you're leaving the old you behind. And I feel like I used to have this belief that hard work equals success. And that's what led to my back surgery, because I was working hard as fuck, 16-hour days.
Yeah.
But that did not equal success.
Nah.
And so one of my mentors a few years ago said that his belief is the less I work, the more money I make. And that's my new belief. And that was like a big setback that kind of set me up for my comeback.
I think I agree with that to a certain degree, right? Because if you don't have anything, there's got to be that balance, right? So I tell people, listen, you can do anything for 90 days. Like a woman experiences a trimester, right? And she might have in a pregnancy, might have a bad trimester, but then the next trimester might not be as bad and so on. But you show me a woman that has 3 bad trimesters, man, I'll show you a mother of 1, right? If their entire pregnancy is bad. So the point is, let's say in 90 days, I tell people in my business, you got to go all out massive action for the first 90 days to launch your business. Everybody's got to know, you got to prospect. It doesn't mean that you're going to burn the candle at both ends forever, but there's got to be that time of, for example, let's say, my business or your business, somebody has a 9-to-5 job, work 9 to 5 on your job and work 5 to 9 on your business. So now you're putting in the 12 hours. That's a lot, but you don't have to do that forever. That's the thing. And sometimes we have to have a season of separation where some of our friends, we've got to limit our time and association with them, right? Because we got to dedicate, even our spouse. I remember telling my wife when she was my girlfriend, I said, I'm going to be very busy for the next 90 days. So when we were dating, I'm not going to see you as often as I do right now because I'm going on this big run. But it's not going to be forever. And that momentum gets built. And then guess what? Because you got to get to the point where you have your Airbnbs and you have people that you're employing and you're automating, right? So I agree with that philosophy, but at the same time, I don't want somebody to misunderstand that it doesn't take hard work, because you put in plenty of hard work, right? And so, but no, that makes complete sense, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I think at first, you're absolutely right. You got to build the team, the system, and build momentum.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out what are those 5% of activities that will generate the 95% of the results. Because not all things are created equal, right? It's like, I don't mow my lawn. That's a $12, $15, $16 hour activity. Now we have a full-time housekeeper that does cooking, cleaning, laundry, ironing, anything in the house. And that buys me and my wife back like 60 hours a week.
That's right.
Right? And now we could focus on those $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 activities.
Exactly.
And that's what I mean. Now we're at a level where we could focus on, less and accomplish more.
What moves the needle?
That's right.
The high income producing activities, right? I tell people, listen, you've got to be willing to work without pay in order to get paid without work. In the beginning, when you're barely starting, let's say, for example, somebody starts in real estate. They're going to go out there door knocking, doing open houses, not for their homes, but let's say Jay's a real estate agent. I'm new. I don't have an open house. I don't have a listing. But hey, you're not doing open house in your house? Can I do one there this weekend? I'll work Saturday and Sunday. Cool. Then I'm a door knock throughout the week. I might go 2-3 months without getting paid a dime. I'm planting the seeds. So I'm getting paid without the work. But eventually, imagine a real estate agent eventually has a bunch of listings, hires some listing agents that work those listings, has a buyer's agents that work with the buyers. And this guy is managing the team and having lunch in the middle of a Wednesday with his family with no care in the world. Now he's getting paid without doing the work. But see, The price has to be paid up front and in full, and that's what you've done.
I still remember you one time you said, if you stick and stay, you'll get your pay.
That's right, man. You stick and stay, you get your pay. And we stuck and stayed, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. We stick and stay, you get your pay.
That's right, man. No, man. I knew that this interview was going to bring some value, bro. We got to share the heck out of this interview. How can people connect with you, George?
Instagram, the Jorge Contreras.
The Jorge Contreras. We're going to make sure that we put that here. Connect with this guy. And if you want to learn about their Airbnb business and how this guy has already created wealth and is continuing to create wealth, not only for him, but for his students, you want to make sure you follow him, connect with him, and he'll connect you with the people to give you the proper information. My friend, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast, bro. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor.
Appreciate
it,
you,
bro.
brother.
Thank you.
All right. And with that being said, man, this was full of golden nuggets, right? So hope you guys enjoyed it. Do me a favor. I want you guys to comment what is it that you learned from this episode, 1 or 2 things that you learned from the episode, and share this with at least 10 people that you know, okay? Tag them on these videos. And with that being said, we'll see you guys at the top or from the top. Take care.